Okay, so today is October 20th, 2020, the year of the mother of all messes. I've been watching Cat in the Hat too much. My kids love that movie, and I honestly don't like it very much because it's so, vulgar for children. They say things that are, you don't really want your kids repeating. But anyway, so I'm just feeling kind of weird today, not really understanding, super confused. Last night I was at work, and excuse me, a lot of you guys know that I work on my feet. I wait tables. And I don't get to sit down. I mean, if I wanted to sit down and could and really needed to, then they would let me, but normally I'm too busy. So I try to drink as much as I can, but I'm not allowed to, by health code, I'm not allowed to get some water and put the water on the counter and just leave it. I have to refill my water glass and use one from work and drink the water and then put it away where the dirty cups go, because we don't want any cups sitting on the counter. It's like a health code violation or something like that. So a lot of the time I don't even have time to drink very much. I try to drink as much as possible, and I've been craving juice and things like that and not water. I drink water at home all the time, a ton of water at home. But whenever I'm at work and I have access to fruit punch, that's all I want. So, and it's really hard to say no. When you're pregnant and you're craving something, it's really hard to say no. And you're going to probably experience me being really breathy in this video because this is something that I wanted to talk about. I'm having a lot of contractions again. I had them last night at work. That's what I was getting at. Last night at work, didn't get to time them, but I knew they were very frequent and they were starting to get painful. And I think that's probably from maybe not drinking enough water while I was at work and just being up on my feet moving around. So when I got home, I didn't have any water bottles. I'm going to get my grocery order today. And I hate drinking our tap water because I don't feel like it's very clean. It might be, but I just don't think it tastes right. It tastes like dirt to me, and I don't like it. So I went ahead and got a glass of tap water and was just kind of sipping on it because it's disgusting, but I knew that I needed to drink water, period. And so the contractions at home were every 3 minutes, not on the dot to the second, but every 3 minutes, for real. And they were painful. My back was hurting, I was cramping, my hips were cramping, abdominal, lower stomach cramps, where my cervix would be and where you'd have period cramps. And then they started getting really bad and closer together where they were 2 minutes apart. And so I went and got in the bathtub and I drank a bunch more water. Instead of just sipping on it, I drank a bunch more. And then they were still there, but they started spacing out. So here's what I don't understand. Maybe somebody can answer this question for me. In my last video where I talked about regular contractions, 34 weeks and 1 day as of today, the 20th of October. Last week, I had contractions at 33 weeks, and they were regular, and then I would lay down or get a bunch of water, and then they would kind of disperse and go away, and they'd be once an hour, once every 30 minutes. Regardless, I'm still having them. They space themselves out. So here's what I don't understand. Why are they regular? Why are they painful? Why do the doctors say that Braxton Hicks are not supposed to be painful, and they're not supposed to be regular. I'm irritated because it's like, I tell my husband, oh, I'm having really bad contractions. Oh, I'm having really bad contractions. Like, all the time. But, like, here lately, you know, it's been all the time. Like, the past few days to a week, it's, like, on and off, and they're painful. And then sometimes they get really regular, and then I get scared. But if they're not real labor contractions, why are they regular? And why are they painful? Why last night did they get closer together? So I did a little bit of research. And I don't know if you know this. I'm not a doctor. Did not know this. Not a nurse. I don't know anything about science or biology, and I sucked at biology so bad, so didn't know this. Sorry if this is obvious to everyone and that I'm just dumb. But anyway. So apparently, and if I can explain it correctly, the reason why you get more contractions, whether they're Braxton Hicks or actual contractions, like true contractions, when you're dehydrated, even the least bit thirsty means you're dehydrated, apparently, when you're pregnant. Apparently, you have to drink 500 bottles of water a day and then pee 7,000 times, literally 7,000 times per day to be hydrated. But the reason, apparently, that you get more contractions when you're in the least bit thirsty at all is because something about your blood levels, and whenever, I don't even know how to explain it anymore. I feel like I need to Google it and then come back to the video, but something about like your blood levels, and whenever you don't have as much water in your blood levels or something, then your oxytocin level rises, and it has something to do with your oxytocin hormone rising whenever you're dehydrated and then causing more contractions. So it's like an actual scientific thing, which is super weird. Definitely Google it if you're curious about it so that you can get an accurate description of like the reason why, because I just cannot explain it correctly. Apparently I feel like I'm out of my mind. But then again, like this morning, okay, which of course we sleep for however long, 6, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 5 hours, 2 hours, I don't know, however long you sleep. And then, you know, whenever we wake up, we haven't had anything to drink, so we need a drink. Well, I've been like sipping on this water, which of course I still have stupid tap water. I'm on my way to Walmart right now to get my grocery pickup order. So I'll get my water bottle and start chugging on it. But I'm, you know, obviously probably a little bit dehydrated again this morning. And I'm having contractions again every 3 minutes. Like, I'm even watching the time on the video, and it's still every 3 minutes. But they're not painful yet right now. Last night, I forgot to mention how long I was having these contractions. Last night, they were every 3 minutes for over 1 hour, and then they went to every 2 minutes for a while. And then, you know, got in the bathtub, started drinking a lot more water, and then after I got out of the bath and, like, sat down, like, in a good position where there wasn't a lot of excess weight on my veins and stuff in the back of my body with the baby on top of me, you know, I was kind of on my left side, then they started to kind of go away. So it wasn't like I had contractions every 3 minutes for 5 minutes, you know, or 6 minutes. It wasn't like I had like 2 contractions. I had like a million contractions. And like I said, they got more painful and more painful. But this morning, here they go again. They're just not that painful yet. I can talk through them. They just make me like breathy, and like I can tell that there's tightening. What was really weird about last night was that I felt like I had to poop, okay? And if you've delivered before, then you know, even if you had an epidural, you can feel, for the most part, most people can anyway, unless you're in a different situation and things were different for you, but you can feel when you're dilated to a 10 and you feel like you're about to poop everywhere, okay? Like, that's not what it felt like last night, or where I was dilated to a 10, okay? But there was pressure there. Like, I had to poop. Went and sat on the toilet during all these contractions. Did not have to poop. Couldn't. Still haven't. And it's now 8 o'clock in the morning. That was 9 o'clock last night, okay? And every time that I would contract, normally my contractions are a start in my stomach. Stomach hardens. I might have a little bit of dull backache. I was cramping in my back and my hips, and then it would radiate to the front of my stomach. So it was opposite. I may be wrong, but I want to say that, which when I had my kids, I had an epidural. So, and I don't even remember like if there was a major difference between the contractions that I felt before I was induced with Pitocin, before I actually went to the hospital, and I wasn't actually in like active real labor, or the ones that, you know, I don't remember the difference about those and the ones that were happening while I was on Pitocin. And a lot of them, oh my gosh, my nose. A lot of them were after I had my epidural. They broke my water at like 4 centimeters dilated, and then I got my epidural. So I didn't really experience a lot of the super painful ones for the most part, except with my daughter I did, but I don't remember it because that's been 5 years. So anyway, a lot of the time people say that the true labor contractions start in your back and then radiate to the front, and they're like waved to the front. So that's it was kind of weird. That's kind of what it felt like. And then I was cramping like in the front of my body during all of this. So it wasn't just like my stomach was tightening. It was like I was cramping. I felt like she was pushing on my cervix, and my butt felt like I had to poop. Like there was pressure there. So I was like, that's really weird. I feel like she's actually coming down, and I don't know if it was like just maybe my body's trying to dilate my cervix, or if I was trying to go into actual labor. I actually read last night whenever I was reading about the oxytocin levels whenever you're in the least bit dehydrated whenever you're pregnant, and how they rise, that can actually cause legit preterm labor, not just Braxton Hicks, false labor contractions. And like even some people, which this is bad, and I would never advise doing this ever, because whenever you're dehydrated, it can cause, like if you're really dehydrated and you're dehydrated a lot, it can cause some like developmental problems with your baby, and pregnancy issues and preterm labor and all sorts of stuff. But some people, I was reading, when they're term, they will actually like not drink enough water on purpose, just barely be dehydrated, to where it would like bring on contractions and then maybe start their labor for real. So it can really start labor, apparently. That's what I read on Google. I don't know. You can't really trust everything you read on the internet, but that's what I read. So I have an appointment in 2 days. I'm going to tell him, my doctor, because he said, I was like, well, I'm having, 2 weeks ago, I had my appointment at 32 weeks. So 2 weeks is 34 weeks. And then 2 more weeks, I'll have another appointment, and then every week after that. Anyway, so we're almost there, which is super weird. But whenever I asked him, I'm having a lot of contractions at 32 weeks. He's like, as long as they're not regular. And they were last night. And I told my husband, I was like, well, if I get in the bathtub and then I get out and these things don't stop, and I've drank my water and everything and they don't stop, like, we might have to go to the hospital, because that's what he said. Like, if they are regular, and they were. And I didn't have like every 10 minutes. It just went straight to every 3 minutes. And it was weird. But I'm going to ask him again and be like, hey, these were regular. Why? What is wrong? What's going on? Is it really uterine irritability? Like I talked about in my last regular contraction weird video, where it wasn't like a pregnancy update, but it was a basically like a rant and me trying to like explain what was going on and give an update on what was going on. So because my last, I think, 32-week pregnancy update video, I was having regular contractions during that, and then I did an update on what happened with that, and then there's this. So I just don't know what's going on. I had mentioned in that video that maybe it was uterine irritability, which he said I have an irritable uterus, and a lot of the time that happens when you're dehydrated or when you've had children before. And an irritable uterus, like I explained in that video, can be triggered by literally anything. It can be triggered by dehydration, walking, sitting, sex, eating, not eating, having to pee, not peeing, not having to pee, like full bladder, not full bladder. Like, it can just be caused by all sorts of things. By using your stomach muscle at all, by lifting anything, by bending over, by sitting down, by laying down, by turning over. Like, it can literally be caused by anything. And that's one of the really annoying things about the end of pregnancy, especially whenever you have an irritable uterus, is that you just don't know. You just don't know what it is, what's going on. And I realize I'm only 34 weeks, and that, you know, it seems kind of early for my body to be trying to go into labor, and maybe it isn't. But why were the contractions regular? That's my question that I'm probably going to be asking him in a couple of days whenever I go to my appointment, is why were they regular? Why did they go away after they were regular? Is it something to be worried about? Is it just caused from dehydration? Is it literally regular Braxton Hicks? How am I supposed to know whenever I'm supposed to go to the hospital if they are painful and they are regular and they are getting closer together, because they were, and everything's cramping? It feels like I'm in labor, okay? Everything's cramping. It feels like I have to poop. But then I go get in the bathtub and I drink water and then they disperse. Like, I guess if that happens again, which I'm sure it will, to be honest with you, I'm super annoyed, I'm sure it will, then I guess what I'm going to have to do is just chug a bunch of water and go get in the bathtub immediately and see if they go away. And if they don't, then I guess I'm going to go to the hospital. I don't know. I really just don't know. It's like my body is playing games with my head, and it's super annoying, and I don't understand it. So, thanks for staying to the end of this video if you watched. This is not a regular pregnancy update, so there will not be a bump picture. This is just an update, like an in-between kind of video. I don't know could you call this a baby watch video? I don't really know. Maybe I should start baby watch now, because I just don't know. I don't know what's going on. And they say, too, this is another reason why I'm so panicked. They say that the more pregnancies you have, the quicker your labor is. And I've seen these horror stories about people having regular contractions, and they're like 10 minutes apart, and then all of a sudden they get really painful and their water breaks, and then they're 2 minutes apart, and then they can't even get to the hospital on time. Have the baby in the car, or they're dilated to a 10 in the lobby, and then they can't even get an epidural. And that just freaks me out. I do not want that to happen to me. I have a terrible pain tolerance. I cannot take, like, whenever my water broke, or they broke my water in the hospital. My water never broke on its own. They broke it in the hospital both times. But whenever they broke it in the hospital with my daughter, I told them that I wanted an epidural. I was 4 centimeters, currently probably dilating to like 4 to 6, because the contractions were so bad. The labor was so fast after that. And it hurt so bad. Like, after my water broke, it hurt so bad that I was like crying, like writhing in pain, like moaning in pain. And I mean, it was horrible, and it felt like it took forever for the anesthesiologist to get in there. And apparently he was with someone else at the time, and my husband said it took like 2 hours from the time that he left the room, thinking that the anesthesiologist was about to be right there, because that's what they said, is that he'd be right there. And then it took forever for me to actually get my epidural, and I was like contracting at the same time, overheated and extremely nauseous, to the point where I felt like I was going to die. You know, like, it was absolutely horrible. Could not make it through labor without an epidural. I mean, I'm sure I could if I had to, but I feel like I could not make it. So I do not want that to happen to me. And that's another reason why I'm so panicked and thinking, well, if I'm having regular contractions, like, I need to go ahead and get to the hospital. You know, like, I do not want this to happen to me. So that's another reason why I feel that way. And another reason why I panic so easy whenever I have, you know, regular contractions. And that's what the doctor said was, as long as they're not regular, you know. So why would I not panic? My husband's like, you do this every time. And I'm like, what do you mean I do this every time? This is my body. This is what my body is doing. You know, and 99.9% of women feel that way. Sorry, I had to go through a drive-thru and pay my water bill really quick. So anyway, what I was saying was 99.9% of women have, they don't actually know when they're in labor, and they're just trying to be cautious and make sure that they're okay and that their baby is okay and that they don't wind up giving birth to their baby in the lobby of the hospital or in their car. So I feel like it's very, very normal that someone would say, if I do not stop having contractions, we're going to have to go to the hospital, you know. And sometimes people say that several times a pregnancy because of Braxton Hicks or uterine irritability or a million other things. Or dehydration, or standing up, or sitting down, or rolling over, or having to pee, or not having to pee, or being hungry, or not being hungry. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just... I am very thankful to be able to carry a child, to be able to conceive a child, to be able to carry a child to full term, to have a healthy child. I am very, very blessed. I understand that. And I apologize if it seems like I don't feel that way or I'm not thankful for the situation that I'm in. I am. However, when you get to the end of your pregnancy, you're like, when is this going to end? When am I going to stop having these situations where I feel like I need to rush to the hospital, but I don't know for sure? And then you don't want to seem like an idiot and go to the hospital and then nothing be wrong. Or like one time I was pregnant with my son, 33 to 34 weeks, somewhere around there. It was my last pregnancy, and was having regular contractions. Went to the hospital and they said I was not having contractions. I don't know. The monitor didn't pick anything up. I don't know if I got there and they stopped, which sometimes that happens, or if it was just uterine irritability that often. But I was sitting in a chair in an office and I wasn't moving around, so I wasn't doing anything that was causing me to have to use my stomach muscles to create uterine irritability. I was drinking, having regular contractions, cramping, you know. I don't know. Pregnancy is very confusing. So, do you have any advice for me? Please give it. Because I feel like I'm so confused at this point that I'm irritated, not only with the situation, but with myself. Because, you know, my husband's like, you do this every time. And I'm like, I do this every time? This is my body doing this, and I'm just trying to be safe. I'm literally doing what the doctor said to do. If they are regular, then that's a problem, you know. I just keep thinking about what the doctor said. So I'm super irritated. I do not know what is going on. So I'm going to keep timing them. If they get any more painful, I don't know. Maybe I'll just chug some water and see if they go away. I don't know. I really just don't know. So, thank you for staying until the end of this rant. I'll see you in my next video. So this is the 33-week bump. Don't judge the mess in the background. I'm trying to get caught up today. Starting to get a Linea Negra, which I had way earlier in all the other pregnancies than this. Yeah, I've got all my papers here trying to get my to-do list done. I feel like I am 500 pounds. Anyway, also don't judge my hair because I'm just trying to get the laundry done today. I'm not worried about my hair. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.